Well, hello there, Tom Green, and I'm here to talk to you about the new Media Encoder that comes bundled with Flash CS5. There have been a couple of interesting changes to it, and you really should be aware of them. So let's get started. When you flame up the encoder, this is the window you see, and as you can see, it just tells you just drag and drop. So I'm just going to drag a little movie in here, a little video. It's a drive-in short. And you can see that I can choose a format here, and there are all the formats, and you notice it only gets the two. And you get presets and all that stuff, but I think the important place to go is select the video and click the settings button, and this opens up the interface. Now, not a lot has changed over here. You still have the ability to jog through. And if you think that you need to trim out some of the video, you can set the in and the out points. You can add cue points and parameters here. You can also do it using ActionScript and even XML. So there are all kinds of ways of doing it, but I'm not too concerned about that right now. I'm more concerned about getting this video encoded. And the magic all happens over here. So what I can do is I can choose the FLV, F4V format. So I only get the two. And if I choose a preset here, I can choose among a number of presets for F4V or FLV. But if I go to H.264, there's a bit of a difference here that I think you're going to find rather interesting. The first thing is, of course, you're going to lose the ability to do cue points and parameters and things like that. You just can't put them into these movies. So if you do need to use events or events triggered by something going on in the video, then it's F4V or FLV for you. But the one I want you to take a look at is that all the formats that there used to be there are pretty well gone. But they've made the video very, very interesting because you can create for iPod, HDTV, Apple TV, NTSC, and Vimeo high definition, Vimeo standard definition, ditto on the YouTube side of the fence, and 3GPP, which is used primarily in the mobile space. So we're going to just kick over to the FLV here. And I tend to use my own formats settings, so I'm going to come over to FLV, going to choose video, and I don't know what it is about the encoder, but this is one of the less pleasant surprises. It always tries to make things bigger for you, so just deselect resize. It'll put it back to the 320 by 240. If you have an alpha channel, you can encode that. By the way, FLV is the only format that supports an alpha channel. Frame rate's the same. VBR 2-pass encoding, going to use that. Going to knock the bit rate back to about 400. There we go. There's not a lot to this, and it's primarily black and white, so I don't need a massive bit rate. And the other thing is I'm going to be running this thing locally anyway, so it's no big deal. And if I just keep moving down through the settings, I can move into the advanced settings, and I'll set this to best. Audio, the usual. This is a mono track, so I'm going to change it back to mono. Don't need a 256K bit rate. I'll take it to 80K. And the other thing that I can do here is I can add metadata to this, and you'll notice there are all kinds of little options available to you here. Plus, there are some rules that you can apply, and you can even make your own. And if you want to add the metadata, just twirl down what you need, and away you go. Enter the metadata. That gets all built into the FLV, and at some point, if you need to use it, you can use it. So that's the metadata, and you'll notice too that, of course, it's powered by XMP, which is the format that's primarily used across the board at Adobe for moving metadata between the various applications. Click OK, close that. Going to click OK. And now I can start concerning myself with encoding. Now this is kind of interesting because once you drop a video into the encoder here, you can see that the cue will start encoding if you do not set settings. It'll just go ahead and do it, and it kind of gives you around 2 minutes to get going. So if you sort of leave it it's just going to take whatever default is there. Just be aware of that one. So let's get this thing going. I'm going to start the queue, and there's something interesting going to happen, and I'll get into that in a second. So the queue starts, and you can see you get a little preview in here. It tells me that I've got all my settings, and it also tells me that it's encoding the pass 1 of 2. Now I'm going to pick this up a little later on, so sit tight. So here we are. We're on pass 2 of 2. In the previous iteration of the Media Encoder, you really never saw both passes. So when you're watching this thing encode, you're going to probably see it show up twice, and you think, well, hold on, I just did it once. No, this is your second pass through. So just get set for that one. So I'm going to let this video sort of get encoded, and we'll pick it up when it finishes. So we're almost finished encoding here. We've got about 1 second to go. The buttercup shows up, the buttered popcorn, and it's finished. And you notice that the status has a little check mark telling me it's done. Now, just a little trick here when working with the Media Encoder, if you're not already aware of this, if you want to change the settings at a later date, all you need to do is just go up into the edit menu, reset status, and you notice it goes back, your clock starts running again. But you can go back in, open the settings, and the settings that you had originally set will be there. And you can make your changes, then come back in and do your encoding. So there you go. That's what's new in the Media Encoder. I think it's an improvement over what we've had. It's a lot more user-friendly, and I think you're going to have some fun with it. Catch you later.